Good morning, and welcome to Redeemer Lutheran Church in Columbia, South Carolina, where we're part of the ELCA. I'm Pastor Gary Lodeholt. I'll try to do this as gently as I can. As World War II was drawing to a close, the fascist leader of Italy, a German ally, was captured by partisans while trying to escape. What happened over the next 2 days was gruesome. His mistress joined him in his cell, and they were both shot and killed. The next morning their bodies, along with some others, were dumped in a heap in the town square, where people threw tomatoes and insults at them, along with other very distasteful things, for hours. Then they were strung up by their feet and hung in the town upside down. It's hard to think that something like this could happen not so long ago in our time. So we might not be surprised about a time in the Bible when vengeance was meted out like this too. This week we are looking at small Bible stories you have likely never heard before, and today's story involves that same kind of gruesome vengeance. It also involves a mother's love for her sons. To begin, we need to remember that life in early Old Testament Bible times was more brutish than it is today. Vengeance was the normal, standard way of life, and I guess death too. Another thing to know is that in those days, when a new king came to power, it was normal for that king to put to death all the family members of the previous king. That way, none of them could mount a challenge to the new king's right to the throne. Again, they were harsher times. This story takes place in the early days of King David, and frankly, by our standards of today, he doesn't look so good, at least in the beginning. It turns out that as the Hebrew people had come into the Promised Land under Joshua, Joshua had made a covenant with the people called the Gibeonites. He didn't wipe them out completely, and made peace with them, and they lived as neighbors. Many generations later, King Saul reneged on that covenant and attempted to wipe out the Gibeonites. He wasn't successful, but there were hard feelings. What was worse, because Saul violated the covenant, God sent a famine on the land of Israel as punishment for breaking their word. So then, we have the story from 2 Samuel 21. When it begins, David had come to power, and he sought out the Gibeonites and asked how he can make things right. The Gibeonites said to him, "It is not a matter of silver or gold between us and Saul or his house, neither is it for us to put anyone to death in Israel." He said, "What do you say that I should do for you?" They said to the king, "The man who consumed us and planned to destroy us so that we should have no place in all the territory of Israel, let 7 of his sons be handed over to us, and we will impale them before the Lord at Gibeon on the mountain of the Lord." The king said, "I will hand them over." But the king spared Mephibosheth, the son of Saul's son Jonathan, because of the oath the Lord that was between them, the oath of the Lord that was between them, between David and Jonathan, son of Saul. The king took the 2 sons of Rizpah, daughter of Aiah, whom she bore to Saul, Armani and Mephibosheth, and the 5 sons of Merib, daughter of Saul, whom she bore to Adriel, son of Barzillai the Meholathite. He gave them into the hands of the Gibeonites, and they impaled them on the mountain before the Lord. The 7 of them perished together. They were put to death in the first days of the harvest, at the beginning of the barley harvest. Then Rizpah, the daughter of Aiah, took sackcloth and spread it on a rock for herself, from the beginning of the harvest until rain fell on them from the heavens. She did not allow the birds of the air to come on the bodies by day, or the wild animals by night. When David was told what Rizpah, daughter of Aiah, the concubine of Saul, had done, David went and took the bones of Saul and the bones of his son Jonathan from the people of Jabesh Gilead, who had stolen them from the public square of Bethshan, where the Philistines had hung them up on the day the Philistines had killed Saul in Gilboa. He brought up from there the bones of Saul and the bones of his son Jonathan in the land of, and gathered the bones of those who had been impaled. They buried the bones of Saul and his son Jonathan in the land of the Benjaminites, in Zelah, in the tomb of his father Kish. They did all that the king commanded. After this, God heeded supplications for the land. Sometimes it's hard for us to believe that David handed over these 7 men to the crowd. However, on the positive side, David was seeking to make things right for a wrong that had been done to his neighbors. That may be the first important thing this story has to show us. Sin needs to be admitted and faced honestly. So often we try to cover things over and pretend like our sin just isn't even there. But admission, confession, and repentance are important in our relationship with God and with our neighbors. That's how healing and restoration happens. David also illustrates the importance of keeping covenants. It's not just that we need to be accountable to our neighbors, but how we keep covenants with them implies how we keep the covenant with God. We are called to be faithful in both, knowing that God is always faithful to us. Finally, we need to talk about Rizpah. Rizpah's vigil over her sons' bodies is a moving portrait of a maternal love and dignity in suffering. Her actions inspired David to have compassion, and after having set things right with the Gibeonites, he sets about setting things right with Saul too, burying him along with his family in honor, as befits the king. Suffering produces mercy. It's a powerful thing for us to learn and experience. Facing sin openly and honestly, healing and restoration, suffering and mercy, setting things right, keeping the covenant. These are important ways for the people of God. It's who we should be. It's who we are. Thanks for watching, and remember to let this day belong to God.